Hey guys, welcome back to another video tutorial here in the Media Center. And today this tutorial is going to cover transitions, audio and video transitions inside of Adobe Premiere. Let's check it out. Alright, so we're inside of Premiere here, and I just have a simple project with a couple of clips. And we just want to walk through what these transitions look like, how to apply them, and the properties that we can change to add some drama and some beginning and endings to all of our clips, as well as just making things flow smoothly in our story here. So we just have some real basic clips here, nothing fancy, there isn't a real story. But what we can do is go to our Effects tab, and here is listed all of our transitions. And as you can see, Adobe does a nice job of kind of pre-sorting these for us. So video transitions is what we're going to be working inside of today. And inside of this is broken down even further. And the most common ones that you will probably use will include this Dissolves tab. So this Dissolves tab, we have a cross dissolve, as well as dip to black and dip to white. And these three transitions right here are the most commonly used transitions that you will probably use in your projects as well. The great thing about these is you can actually make yourself a new folder, or a bin as Adobe calls it, a custom bin here, to put these transitions inside of. So you don't have to scroll through and kind of drop all these down each time you're looking for something. You can also search for a transition at any time. So if you're looking for that dip to black, if I just search for dip here, it sorts those out for me. And so I'm going to start by just making a favorites bin, and I'm going to put in my cross dissolve. So I can right click on that and set that as a default transition. And when I do that, I can use a keyboard shortcut to use that transition as well. I'm going to make this bin, and now I can just drag and drop these transitions into my custom bin. And I could call this bin anything I want. I'm going to call this my favorites. I'm going to add my dip to black and my dip to white. So now I can just drop down my favorites bin. Those are my three video transitions right there. And applying transitions is very simple. So I can have my playhead anywhere in my sequence here, but I can grab a transition and just drop it in between two clips, right like this. And as you can see, when we throw that transition on, it adds a nice little cross dissolve transition. And if we zoom in on our clip here, we can see this transition right here. And we can modify this transition so we can make it shorter. As you can see, it gives you the duration there in frames. So we are shortening this by 20 frames. So now here's a 10 frame transition. Or we could make it longer as well. So here's a 2-second and 10 frames transition. So that's going to be much longer. You can also right-click on a transition and set the duration manually with your time here as well. So that's our cross dissolve. You can also get rid of this transition by just clicking on it and pressing the delete key at any time. Now, all of your videos, you generally want to have bookmarks at the beginning and end of your video to kind of help transition the audience into the video. And a good way to do that is through the use of our dip to black. So a lot of your videos that we require in your classes, we want transitions at the beginning and end of them, just to add those bookmarks to the story. So here we've got a dip to black. So currently, if we play back our sequence, we're just going to snap to our clip there. We want to add a nice transition that dips out of that black. There we go, right there. We can also put that at the end of our sequence here. Let's see what that looks like. Just a nice little bookmark to nod our story at beginning and end, telling the audience where we're going with everything. So as I mentioned earlier, you can use a keyboard shortcut to place your transition. So you can right-click and set that transition, anything as a default transition for your keyboard shortcut. So if you know you're going through and you need to add a lot of cross dissolves to your shots, you can do that this way. And it's very simple because you can just move your playhead near where you need your transition, and then just do the keyboard shortcut Control-D, and that'll drop that transition right there for you. Let me go down to this other clip, we'll add it there. So now we've got these simple transitions just without drag and dropping using your keyboard shortcuts. Very handy. You can also place audio transitions this way as well, which we'll get into next. Okay, now we're going to talk about the audio transitions inside of Adobe Premiere. So here, we've muted our regular audio tracks here because there's no good audio there, and we've just got a music track behind our story here that you can hear right there. And I want this to fade in and out with our video, as well as I might want to change up the music, say halfway through my film or something like that. And we can use the built-in audio transitions to help us do that if we don't want to spend the time using keyframes. And so we can drop down our Audio Transitions tab over here in our Effects panel. And all of these audio transitions are fades. And these all do something a little bit different here. So constant gain, the gain between the clips is going to even out using the same gain across multiple audio clips. So you remember when we were talking earlier about editing our audio. So when we right-click on a clip and we change the gain, it's going to match the gains between those two clips when we use that constant gain transition. And actually that's also very useful when you want to fade something in from nothing. So if we've got the beginning here, this will fade in, which is very handy for our audio transition. So it knows that there's no clips around it, so that's a 0 gain transition, and this is a gain of about 6 dB. So it will automatically transition that for us. And we can stretch these transitions out as well to make longer. And we can also use these other transitions in the same way. Now jumping over to our constant power transition, this is slightly different from our gain, as where our constant gain is going to even out the gain between those two clips. Constant power is going to have more of an exponential curve to it. And that'll give a smoother transition. So it'll be quiet, quiet, and then kind of get louder, nice and easy towards the end of our transition. So if we use this one right here, let's play this back. And this is also slightly different from our exponential fade, which this is going to be a very slow and steep curve, kind of give you a faster transition into the audio clip here. So I already placed my exponential fade here, and I'm just going to stretch this out a little bit so you can hear what it does. So depending upon the rate of your transition, so how long your transition is, you get different effects with each transition. And moving into the remainder of our transitions inside of Premiere here, we've got a whole bunch of other video effects and transitions that we can apply if we want, particularly in the video transitions. Really, you're not going to use these a whole lot unless you're editing a Star Wars movie, which I doubt you are, but you never know. This might be in your future someday. But there's all sorts of different effects in here. So a common one seen on the internet here is this page peel. So we'll put that on this clip right here. We can see what that looks like. Oh, look at that page peel. It looks great. So it's other goofy transitions like that. I'm going to do this 3D motion, the cube spin. That's always a fun one here. Let's see what that looks like. Whoa, that's pretty cool. So there's a lot of goofy transitions in here. Again, if you're telling good film story, you're probably not going to use these transitions, but feel free to play around with them on your own time and experiment with things that work if you're doing like your own blog, your own video series, something that identifies with the feel and the look that you're going for in your video. All right, and to recap our video, we looked at our video and audio transitions inside of Adobe Premiere, and we went to our Effects tab over here next to our project window, our Effects tab, where we can search for our transitions. We can dip to black or white. We can make a favorites bin and add in our transitions to that favorites bin, and we can also use our keyboard shortcuts on our sequence as well to save us a little bit of mouse time from flying around the screen. Well, hey, that's it for today's video tutorial. Hope you guys learned something new, and check out the other video tutorials on our YouTube channel as well. Tune in next time.